What up, though?
What up, though?
And welcome back to the Base for the Culture podcast. We are your hosts, Janine Wilson.
And Gene Wilson the fourth.
Welcome to the show. I feel like it's been so long.
Hey, don't we? Is this our what year? This is February.
This is going into our second year of Base for the Culture. Yay! We started in February of 2020, and we still here rocking with y'all. So happy anniversary this month.
We started in 2020?
2022.
Oh, I'm about to say.
Did I leave a 2 off of that?
Yeah, you said 2020. I was about to say, this our 4 years?
No. We started in February of 2022. We only been here a short amount of time.
Right, 2 years, y'all.
2 years.
Up, though?
We relatively young still in this game. So, and thank you guys so much for listening to us and tuning in. And you can reach us at basefortheculture at Gmail, Base for the Culture on Instagram, Base for the Culture on TikTok, Base for the Culture everywhere.
What up? Yes.
And just take a moment to like, subscribe, review, rate, and all of that good stuff. And we thank you so much in advance.
Yes.
And like we were just saying, we're still like kind of new into this whole thing. You know, you have content creators and podcast hosts that have been doing it for decades. And we've only been here for 2 years.
We're still trying to figure out what we're doing.
Yeah, we catching our rhythm. And we just, you know, we thank you guys for bearing with us and for all your feedback, whether it's positive or negative. We appreciate it all.
If you have any ideas like for different segments that you would like for us to conjure up or you like to hear more of, you know, we feel free to leave comments and express how you feel.
Yeah, so this year, you know how I like to start the year off strong and whatnot. I feel like as far as Base for the Culture goes, it didn't quite happen that way. And we only gave y'all one episode in January, but let me put a little disclaimer out there because life was all the way life. And so that's why it's been a little break in between. I had some professional things I had to bear with and take care of. We suffered a devastating loss to the 49ers. Lions, go Lions. It's still go Lions. I don't care what nobody say. Dan is the man. Our squad was everything this year. So, this last season. So thank you, Detroit Lions, for everything you've given us this past season.
Y'all did good.
We'll see y'all next year. So, you know, that was heartbreaking. We had to deal with that and, you know, had to have 5 to 7 business days to grieve on that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, it's just been a lot going on, but we are back.
We are back.
Back to business. So, you got any? One more thing before we get into the show. I do want to say rest in peace to Joey Jamerson.
Yes.
James Jamerson's son, his last son, that was with us, and he passed away yesterday. So we want to say rest in peace to Joey and just praying for the Jamerson family. Mrs. Annie Jamerson, she lost her last son yesterday. So please keep the Jamerson family in your thoughts, your prayers, and give them good energy. All right.
All right, then.
What you been listening to?
Well, currently I've been listening to this trumpet player from Scotland, Malcolm Strachan.
Who now?
Strachan. Strachan. N.
As in Nancy?
As in Nancy.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah, Malcolm. I've been listening. He's a trumpet player from Scotland. The album I've been listening to is called Point of No Return. It came out January 2023. So that's what I've been listening to. It's jazz, and my favorite songs off of there I've been listening to is Maybe Next Time, and then the one I like a lot too is Soul Trip. It's like 7 songs on there. So that's what I've been listening to. What you been listening to?
All right. So I've been listening to lately, it's been on repeat for me, this particular album, RC and the Grits. Their Live in Paris album that came out last year. Okay. And they kind of did like covers of different songs, but one of my favorite on there, they did a jazz cover of Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana. Okay. Man, like
I'm sure I've heard of it.
That has me in a chokehold right now. So that's kind of what I've been listening to. And on that whole Live in Paris album, the whole album is dope. Okay. And J Mac is on bass. And that, you know, they kind of have a rotating schedule, or should I say roster of bass players. So like Matt Ramsey's played with them, Mike League has played with them, you know, and so Braylon Lacey. So like, but J Mac, he's one of their regulars, so he's pretty dope. So that's what's been on repeat for me. It'll be in the playlist. Okay. And you can find the YouTube playlist wherever you listen to us right now. Just click the link in the subscription box and you'll find it there. Okay.
Well, for Give It a Listen, I have called Forever Together. It's Lindsay Webster, you know her. Yes.
Greg Sparrow's
Greg
Lindsay.
Sparrow, yes. And so I come to find out that she has this is a song called Together already. That came out in 2023.
Oh,
and
wow.
then the new version of that song is called Forever Together. That came out 2024.
Isn't Greg Spear on that?
Yes, he's on both. Lindsay's on both. And then come to find out, I guess the drummer, Deuce Devontae Harris, the drummer, and then Ladarius Jones, bass player.
Come on, Ladarius.
Yeah, play with the Weeknd. So that's who's been. I've been wondering because it's a list of these songs, and it's all like Greg Sparrow, but it's Lindsay singing with them.
Yeah, duh. Remember when I told you?
Right.
And I was like, and I mean, y'all, please don't take this the wrong way, but I was blown away when I found out that Lindsay was not one of us. Like, so I was like, whoa, Lindsay?
Yeah.
Girl, I thought you was a whole us over here.
And so,
but she be singing. I'm a fan of Lindsay Webster.
And so, like, a lot of these songs we be listening to, you know how it be like Greg coming out with a new song every week? It's like they just singles. Yeah. Because I was like looking for him on the album, and it's just like
Remember I told you he releases a new song weekly. Like,
So it's like a list of singles. So some of the other ones we like, because all of them was with Greg, and some of the other ones we like, it's one called Gotta Go. There's one called 2 Week. One of our favorites, Said Like Before.
Oh, gosh, I love Said Like Before so much.
And then there's another one called 50 Years.
Yes.
And then there's another one called Days to Say.
Come on.
So it's a list of these songs, and they all come out as singles like every week. And then we be like listening to Lindsay. Then I click on her album, the discography to listen to the album, and it's just singles. So, yeah. And it's those dudes playing with us.
So dope.
Now, I got a song for Because of the Bass, and that's called Put Me in a Room, and that's Tulot and Greg Sparrow.
I've heard that too.
Yeah, so.
Anything Greg, like my algorithm be like, oh, you love Greg Sparrow, here you go. So.
Yes. So those are 2 songs. I mean, well, that's the song I have for Because of the Bass, and that's pretty much I got.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm ready to get into our on-base basis today, and I can't believe that we're waiting until episode 48 to talk about him. But
that's crazy.
Man, we talking about the legendary. Legendary. You don't even have to say his last name. You can only say his first name, and that holds weight itself. But today our on-base basis is Mr. Verdine White on bass.
Like, I've always loved this guy before you get into him. I just, like I've always been blown away by bass players like Sting that could just sing and play bass. But for a bass player that could sing and, like, choreographically dance, like, it's just crazy and not miss a note. Like, he's always been in my brain, like, the Superman of that.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
And you got to open up for Earth, Wind, and Fire. You got to see him live in person, play on the same stage as him.
Played on the same stage as him, watched them in their prayer before they went out on stage, live right there. Like, I could have just ran out and pulled his cord out his bass. That's how close I was. But yes.
That's amazing.
So we were playing with Lachelle Griffin. Mm-hmm. We opened. Yep. Okay.
All right. So.
What up, cuz Randall?
All right. So let's get into it. Mm-hmm. So Verdine Adams Jr. was born July 25th, 1951 in Chicago, Illinois.
Wow. Okay.
I said Verdine Adams Jr.
Oh, wow.
Okay. All right. So he was born to Dr. Verdine Adams Sr., who was a podiatrist. And his mom's name was Edna Parker, and she was a school teacher. So his father was also a musician. He played saxophone and drums.
Okay.
But he told his children, I mean, obviously he's educated. He's a black doctor, even in these days and times, in the 50s and the 60s. And so he did tell his children, he played instruments, and he told his kids if they ever wanted to be musicians that they could, but they had to learn how to play their instruments properly. Okay. So, he already had that standard, set within the family. So Verdine had 9 siblings.
Wow.
8 with his mom and dad. And then Maurice White was his half brother.
What?
And obviously Maurice had a different dad. So that's how Maurice's last name was White, but Verdine's last name was Adams. They had the same mom. Okay. And of course, man, I don't have to tell y'all this. I mean, if I have to explain who Maurice White is, I mean, maybe this might not be the podcast for you, but for those that don't know, Maurice White was the leader of the greatest band ever to grace this earth, and that's Earth, Wind, and Fire, which we're going to talk about because you cannot talk about Verdine White, his history, and not talk about Earth, Wind, and Fire and Maurice White.
Not
all right.
At all.
So in the early 1960s in Chicago, Verdine was immersed in a rich jazz and blues scene. We talking Chi-Town, right? So we got Howlin' Wolf was big at that time, and Ramsey Lewis.
Yep.
All right, so as a child, he would go to all the shows at the Regal Theater.
Okay.
And that was like, the theater in town, kind of like our Fox Theater. So around 10 years old, he saw James Brown at the Regal.
Oh, man.
Could you imagine being 10 years old seeing James Brown?
No, can you imagine being 10 years old seeing James Brown and understanding what you're seeing?
That part. Okay. So he would, he got to see him live. He would watch him on TV every time he could catch him. So it was like around that time that he knew he wanted to be a musician. He wanted to be like James Brown and all the other cats he saw perform. But also he wanted to be like his brother. So Maurice is 10 years older than Verdine.
So when this was going on, Maurice was 20.
Yes. Okay, but let me just put a little backstory on the history between Maurice and Verdine.
Okay.
So while Verdine and his 8 siblings lived in Chicago. I lost my words. Lived in Chicago. Maurice lived down south.
Okay.
So that's
by himself.
Okay. He was born in the South. I believe it was like Alabama or Mississippi. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's one of them two. And his mom, Maurice is the oldest, so that's where his mom was from. But she wanted a better life. She was tired of being, a maid for white people and all that stuff. It was the Jim Crow South. She was like, I got to get out of here. But she wanted to go ahead and go up north, but she wanted Maurice to stay there because she felt like he would fare better in the South. She didn't want him going to the city and getting in trouble and all this stuff. So he stayed down south with some people she entrusted him to.
Okay.
So that's how they didn't end up growing up together. Maurice wouldn't go to Chicago until he was like around 18, 19 years old. Okay. So that's kind of how the dynamic was. All right, cool. So even though that was his brother and he knew his brother, was a musician, he wasn't raised around him per se, coming up. Right. All right. So when Verdine was 14, Maurice had joined the Ramsey Lewis trio. Maurice is already in Chicago at this time, and he was also a session bassist at Chess Records. Okay, the Chess Records. So Chess will record their records on a Monday for them to be ready for the radio by Friday, and Maurice will bring the copies of the 45s home like every Monday. So Verdine would get his hands on them before they came out, and he was studying everything that the Ramsey Lewis trio was playing, playing. Like his big brother was everything to him. So anything Maurice did, Verdine was on it. Okay. All eyes glued. He trying to learn everything. So it was at 14 that Verdine decided that he wanted to learn how to play double bass. Okay. So he started taking bass because his daddy said, you going to play him, you better play him right. He started taking bass lessons from a professor with the Chicago Symphony Orchestra. So not too long after, and when he started taking bass lessons, obviously it was double bass, but it's like, this not fun. They don't play this on the records. Like, I'm about to go grab me a Fender. He went and got a red Fender. Okay. So he learned how to play electric bass from the great Louis Satterfield. And he was a big session bass player at the time that was playing with Maurice, and he's played for the Gap Band, Denise Williams, Staple Singers, of course, later Earth, Wind, and Fire. He just played for some of everybody. Legendary. So Verdine said that everything he learned about how to play bass, he learned from Louis Satterfield. Okay. So that's who he credits for being his mentor on electric bass. Okay. So Maurice started inviting Verdine to their recording dates, so that Verdine could watch and learn how they did their sessions. Okay. So he would be like, hey, come on down just in case the bass player doesn't show up. I don't know if my man's was unreliable or nothing, but he was like, I'm going to need you here just in case you need to fill in. And so Verdine was all about it. Right. He like, yeah.
Even if you don't get to play, that's just still like good roots, the plant. And to be there to see what's going on. Yeah.
And then he was witness to some amazing recordings.
I wish somebody took me along while I was playing with Lego.
Been like, hey, Gene, come down to Motown and watch us record.
I'd have been like, I don't want to go to Motown. I'm going to play with Lego.
Oh, man. Take me to Motown. I want to go to Studio A. Listen. So when Verdine was in high school, he could either be found in the orchestra room playing his double bass or in the drama class. Okay, that explains a lot. He could be found in the drama class. He learned how to write his own shows, how to be a performer, and he didn't realize it at the time that was actually preparing him to be in Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Wow.
So he said that the 50s and the 60s were a very good time to come up if you wanted to be anything in the arts, music, whatever, painting, whatever. It was a supportive time of the arts movement. Okay. And he credits that in his family, obviously, but that environment, he was like, that's what kept him out of trouble and off drugs.
Okay. That's what's up.
And you hear that often, when we talk about some of these legendary bass players, like music is what kept them from the streets.
Kept me out of trouble, even trouble I got in, but it kept me out of trouble.
Absolutely, because music is kind of a savior of sorts for especially black boys. It gives them something constructive to do and keep them off the streets. So that's why I say, and let me stand on my little soapbox for a minute. Please, please, please support the arts, because these public schools are not getting funded for arts programs. Right. All right. I digress. All right. So
don't forget that, y'all.
Around this time, Maurice was on tour with Ramley.
You
know what, y'all? God bless and good night.
Ramsey.
He was on tour with Ramsey Lewis, and he kept having a dream about this big, fantastic band. It was really big and audacious, and it was 9 people in the band.
Oh, man.
He's like a band that could express how he felt about God, life, and identity. The band was all about clean living and being a force for good energy and peace. And Maurice began to sketch out the visions that he had of this band. He's jotting stuff down on napkins, paper, whatever he could find. And Verdine said that's how he first heard the vision of Earth, Wind, and Fire. They were sitting somewhere and Maurice just writing on some napkins, like everything that his visions was giving him. So, okay, while Maurice is getting the vision together, he realized this is what I'm meant to do. So Maurice told Ramsey Lewis that he was leaving the trio to form his own band. So Ramsey was like, okay, cool, right. I'm not mad at you. He was like, what kind of jazz you going to be playing? Maurice was like, I'm not doing jazz. We're going to play pop, Latin, R&B, rock and roll, soul. It's going to be fusion. And Ramsey was like, man, go home, lay down, get some rest. You tired. Like, what are you talking about? And Maurice,
last Ramsey.
Maurice told him that the shows are going to be theatrical. We're going to have magic tricks and all this grand stuff. And Ramsey just looked at him like he was crazy and walked away. Like, he did not believe anything he was saying. So Earth, Wind, and Fire, that's the name that came to him because those are the elements in his zodiac sign. So that's where that stems from. It was actually Earth, Air, and Fire, but he changed it to Wind. Earth, Air, and Fire. I mean, I guess it could have worked, but I like Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
EWF, like it just flows.
It's like Earth, Wind, and Fire sound more musical. Earth, Air, and Fire sound like theatrical.
It's like, So he, whatever gave him that, it was all part of the vision. So Verdine, Maurice brought Verdine out to LA when Verdine was 19 years old. So, hey, little bro, come on, you about to be our bass player. And so Verdine said when he got to LA, he felt like Maurice's underpaid assistant. Like he said that he had to make up the beds, go get the mail, clean up, like drop the tapes off to the distributors. Look, he said Maurice had him up and hiking every day. They had to live clean, eat clean, couldn't do no drugs. And a running joke between them, because Maurice always told Verdine, you get out here, you acting crazy, you doing drugs, I'm sending you back to Chicago.
Okay, that's right.
Anything that happened, they would do a joke, and then Verdine be like, you send me back to Chicago? So it was like always a thing with them. I thought that was cute.
Yeah.
So you're wondering how we get from Verdine Adams to Verdine White. Okay. So when Verdine got out to LA, he changed his name to White to identify himself as Maurice's brother. Okay. Because people were getting confused. They were like, okay, y'all brothers, but your name is Adams and your name is White. It was just too much. Yeah. So Dr. Adams, Verdine's dad, he was okay with it. But two of their younger brothers, Jerry and Monty, they came out to L.A. to join Earth, Wind, and Fire. And they also changed their last names to White.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so Dr. Adams was at one of their shows, and someone from the band came up to him and was like, "It's nice to meet you, Mr. White." And Maurice checked my man's. He was like, he kind of grabbed him up and was like, his name is Dr. Adams. And Dr. Adams didn't say anything, he was being cool diplomatic about it or whatever. But my man's was just still kind of looking confused, like, okay. And it was like, all right then. But he said that you could tell that Verdine's dad was kind of bothered by it, even though he didn't say anything. Right. So he was like, he was all right with Verdine taking the name, but I think when the other kids was like, oh, we about to be White too, I can imagine you feel away as a dad, Yeah. So that's how we got Verdine White. Okay. Verdine Adams just sounds different, like.
All right, so Verdine Adams would have went along with Earth, Air, and Fire.
Man, get out of here.
But Verdine White goes along with Earth, Wind, and Fire.
I'm really not about to play with you.
But I didn't even think about it. Wind, White, Air, Adams.
Oh, good. I thought that's why you said it, because of the.
I don't be know what I'm saying.
I know.
Till afterwards.
All right, so they did. You remember the movie that Melvin Van Peebles did, the Sweetback, the first black exploitation film?
Yeah.
And so they did the soundtrack for that movie. And so this was 1971. So Verdine got drafted into the Vietnam War. Mm-hmm. Verdine's draft number came up in February, and he had to report in April. But Verdine was like, I'm in Earth, Wind, and Fire. I'm not going to war. What are you talking about? So, to avoid the draft, Verdine came up with the idea of not eating. He fasted for 45 days. What? And at the end of the fast, he was 110 pounds. So he was too underweight to go to war. So
that's how he got so skinny. And he just never gained the weight back.
But this little tidbit, this was in Maurice's book. Mm-hmm. And he was like, Verdine was already skinny to begin with. So God, he just looked like, he looked like death. Like he was looking bad. So he was too underweight to go to war. So when Verdine came out of the recruitment office, he was celebrating. He was like, I never have to go to war. Like, I would never get drafted. So
that's great.
Maurice took him to a party that night to celebrate. And he said Verdine ate everything in sight that night. Like, my man was hungry.
I bet.
So thankfully he avoided the Vietnam War. And so Maurice, because you can, like, he's just a big part of Verdine's story. So Maurice brought in Charles Stepney, and Charles Stepney was an arranger. And so Maurice brought him in on the Last Days album. And he was like, okay, they had been doing their own arrangements and stuff, and that was all cool. But he was like, I kind of wanted to take our music up a notch, get it more polished or whatever. So Charles, he did a lot of arranging for Ramsey Lewis. So that's what the connection was there.
Okay.
So Charles would actually work with Verdine on his bass parts. He showed him how to play the double stops. So he was like, yeah, I want you to do all that stuff that Stanley does. Stanley Clarke, right? So he was like, okay, I think I could do it. But when Verdine actually met Stanley, he was like, man, you got to show me how to play those double stops like you. Like, and of course, Stanley Clarke being a gracious guy he is, of course,
Yes.
He helped him out there.
To learn how to do double stops by Stanley Clarke is amazing.
Man.
Right. Yeah.
And so during this time, they were on Columbia Records with Clive Davis. Clive was with Columbia back in them days. And when they had record dates, the rule was that they had 3-hour record time. That's it. So that meant at their sessions that one record had to be done by 12, one had to be done by 3, and one had to be done by 4. That's it, and you're done, right? But because they were so huge and they were the Earth, Wind, and Fire, they would record for 13 to 14 hours straight.
And then just cut and edit off of that.
Man, yes.
That's crazy.
And
that's why these songs were so long.
Man. And then, okay, so that ties into what I was about to say next. So Verdine said on some of those dates, they wouldn't even record. They would just listen to music for like 13 hours and go over, like, it might be the same song over and over and over too. It was what Maurice and, mainly what Maurice wanted. The sound and everything that he was looking for. So I was like, man, that's wild.
Wow.
13 hours. And I'm sure like it goes by so fast, but
yeah.
So their recording sessions were kind of different.
Okay.
So Maurice, he would come in after everything else is done and record his vocals by himself. He didn't like anybody in the studio at all while he was doing his vocal parts.
Okay.
So Verdine recorded his bass parts the same way. He just wanted himself and the producer in the control room. That's it. Nobody.
Okay.
And he said he liked it better this way because he would still kind of be getting his bass parts together and he would, make mistakes.
Right.
And he didn't like anybody being around when he making those mistakes because, when you're doing something, people could be like, oh, you need to do it this way. You need to play it that way. And won't let him. Yep. Yeah, we know. Yep. And so he didn't like taking directions from other people. Like he just want to do his own thing. And he was like, too many people around would be distracted. And I was like, I totally get that because I like to be by myself.
I can't even sit at the table.
You cannot. If I'm recording or doing, you got to go.
I can't
you
sit
got
at
to go.
the table.
I need to be one with my instrument. I don't need no distractions. Okay. So I'm in great company because Maurice and Verdine White, they were the same way.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a cool fact because I totally relate to that. So Maurice, he was just the biggest influence, not only on him, but all of Earth, Wind, and Fire. And they looked up to him so much, not just musically. They wanted to, live the example in the bar that he set for them. So he was like, they taught him like how to grow as men and how to dress better, eat better, how to become responsible adults, how to carry themselves. So he was like, that was kind of like us going to graduate school for 7 years. Like Maurice was training them and getting them together for just like
That's crazy.
7 years straight. He had a strict regimen on them of what they could and could not do. And it kind of sounds excessive, but to me that speaks to Earth, Wind, and Fire's desire to have the band and the sound and the music that they actually wanted, and they worked to get that.
Yeah. And I mean, he had the vision for it, so he already had a sense of what he wanted to represent. And because it's his and he started it, he had control of how if you're gonna be here, this is what we're gonna do. Because this is what this represents. I get it.
So along with that process, they were taking dance classes, they were working out, they rehearsed twice a day. They would start rehearsal from like 9 to 11 in the morning. They would take the afternoon off, have some lunch, and then the rest of the rehearsals were from 7 to midnight. And this was like almost every day.
Wow.
So even like now, today, Maurice is gone. And actually, he's been gone 8 years today. February 4th is the anniversary of his death. Yeah, so Verdine was like, even, they still rehearse like 10 hours a day. I couldn't, like, he's like 70 plus and you still out here doing 10-hour rehearsals. Like, come on.
Yeah.
So he was like, when Earth, Wind, and Fire started out, they would have like a little rehearsal hall that they rented out. And now they rehearse in arenas.
That's crazy.
Like they rehearse in arenas, not even arenas that they might be performing at, but they need an arena to work their show out. Like, do you know how much money they got? That is huge. And so Verdine, man, we all know him. We all know the energy that he has, the youthfulness that he has. This man could get on stage, play bass, and out dance.
And still.
Like, he has so much energy. And we gonna get into that, like, for real. But the thing that I appreciate about Verdine is that he's not so set in, we Earth, Wind, and Fire, we did this, we the blueprint, we don't ever have to change, adapt, or evolve. He is so fluid with the times, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he works with, he worked with Kendrick Lamar, all type of artists.
That's a cut that Cara, what's her name? Cara Mammy. It's a chick named Cara Mammy. He did a cut with called Trippin'. So yeah. I would have never known it. You know what I'm saying? Just listening to the music because it's new. Yeah, so that's good. He's still relevant.
Yeah, he works with a lot of younger artists, but somebody that's was a mentor to him, which is kind of weird when you say it that way because he's younger than him, was my homie Raphael Sadiq.
Oh,
love that man.
Yeah, that's what's up.
So he was
bass
like
players.
Yes, he learned a lot from Sadiq, and Sadiq put him on to Black Diamond Strings.
Okay.
And so Raphael was like, yeah, you need these in your life. And so he was like, he been using Black Diamonds for 15 years because of Raphael. And he was like, he just learned so much from him. So that I think that's so cool that, he ain't like, I'm Verdine, like you don't tell me nothing. And that just says a lot about him.
Yeah.
So we talked about Verdine. We talked about like how timeless he is and how he doesn't age. Verdine today looks like Verdine from 1970s. So he talked about a time recently where someone came up to him, a fan, and was like, man, I love your dad. I met him a long time ago and he was awesome. And Verdine thought he was talking about his actual dad, Dr. Adams. So he was like, oh, you met my dad? You must have been in medical school or something, like where my dad taught. He was like, no, I met your dad, Verdine, the one that plays bass. And he said, no, that's me. I'm Verdine.
What?
And he said, dude was so embarrassed, he just walked away.
That is crazy.
But that just goes to show you that, like, this man was probably thinking, ain't no way this the same Verdine I met back in the 80s or whatever, because he looks the exact same. Yeah. He's like, for real, he don't age.
He don't age.
But let me tell you the secret he said.
What?
So Verdine said the secret to him maintaining his youthful glow, he eats a lot of kale. He was like, well, people on the road, they eat pizza and chicken and fries. He eating kale and green vegetables, drinking plenty of water. You got to use sunscreen. Even if you're black, you got to take care of your skin. And he was like, a lot of moisturizer. And when he say moisturizer, I think Vaseline, because Verdine be greased up. Okay,
shiny.
He be shining.
Star.
Okay, you're a shining star, no matter who you are. Okay, and that's probably why they wrote that song, because Verdine be shining. So, and I mean, I get it, bro. That is the secret. So I'm about to start eating more kale, drink more water,
cocoa butter.
Man, I'm about to be using more moisturizer because I'm trying to be like Verdine. Do you hear me? So just talk about his gear a little bit. And so in recent years, he's been playing Sadowski.
Okay.
And that's what we normally see him with nowadays. And the thing about Sadowski, he said that it has a great fretboard. And he has Sadowski pickups. He don't really do no modifications. Okay. He said it's the Rolls Royce of basses.
Oh, okay. All right.
He said that Sadowskis require skill to play because it fights back. And then he also plays a white Yamaha TR4, which we see him with that also. And he changes his strings every show. The Black Diamonds. I'm like, every show.
That's what's
you
up.
Changing it. Well, his tech changing his strings because he ain't changing.
Right. That's what's up though. To have that many strings to, like, if I could, I would change strings every Sunday.
But sometimes you want that I don't want to say like dead string sound, but like.
Yeah, you do want them broken in.
He want them crispies because he do a lot of thumping.
Well, I mean, you figure as long as a session is, as he play his strings, they need to be replaced.
He said live shows. He didn't say sessions.
One song would be like 12 minutes.
Oh, you right.
And then they do like 30 songs. So you figure after 3 hours of tearing that bass up, you lucky his fretboard's still alive.
Man.
For they like, I need a new neck every show.
But he give major credit to his text though, because he was like, most rooms that they play in, wherever they playing, that space or that room is not going to be for bass. Like the acoustics in there is just not going to, we know that. Yeah. Like as bass players, any live show we go to, we be like, grrr.
We be like the mix.
The bass be so low in the mix, you can't hear it or it sounds terrible. And I be looking at the engineer people, looking at them like, get it together.
Look, we don't even want to hear the main artist.
I don't care. Turn their mic down. Turn the bass up. What are you doing? What are you doing?
We'll be like, man, this guy's a whack. We can't even hear the bass.
And I'll be liking to sit by the mixing board, because I just be want to be like, I'm just write on paper, like turn the bass up in the mix.
It's funny to me when we go to a concert and we'd be like, all right, I guess we got to pay attention to the artist.
And that's
because either we can't hear the bass or they got a synth bass. And we
right.
Like, all right, who's the artist? Who we here
who
to
we here?
see?
No, because we there for who we there to see the bass player. But
Right.
we like, oh, who they playing for?
Who they playing for?
Oh, okay. Or is it just us? I don't know. Yeah. But I'm sure we not the only ones. Yeah. So somebody asked Verdine if he played with a pick. Mm-hmm. I mean, Verdine, pick.
A pick.
Let me find a way to say this. You know, we don't play with picks. Mm-hmm. That's just not our thing. I don't even think it's in our DNA to play with a pick. But he was like, great bass players don't need picks. Mm-mm. Like, you should never need a pick. And he was like,
the only way bass players would have ended up playing with a pick is if James Jamerson played with a pick.
You right. But
James Jamerson played with a pick. We don't play with no pick. Jocko didn't play with a pick.
Guess who did play with a pick?
Who? Carol
K. Carol K played with a pick.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway,
she always played with a pick, or she just played certain songs with a pick? Because that's the sound they wanted.
She played certain songs with a pick, but a good majority she played with a pick. I seen her with the pick in her hand. I feel like I've seen her with a pick in her hand more times than not. You know. But I was just making a point, though.
Okay, we give Carol a pass here.
Anyway, how we get on Carol? Because he's talking about a pick.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I mean, the thing for me about Verdine White is that, this is the thing too. Mm-hmm. All right. So back in the 70s, I don't know if you know this, because there's not too much footage of these shows.
Okay.
So did you know how I said Marie said it was going to be magic? And we know that Earth, Wind, and Fire shows were spectacular. Yeah. It wasn't just a concert. You was going to get like a show. Yeah. And so at some of their shows, they did this illusion where it looked like they were levitating while they were playing.
Oh, wow.
They worked with a Canadian magician. I forget this guy's name, but the magician's assistant was David Copperfield.
Oh, good. So, before David was David?
Yes. He was basically that man's like assistant. And so Verdine and David, they developed a friendship because David didn't have a car. And Verdine lived the closest to him in California. So he would take him back and forth home and wherever. And
that's crazy.
He said that they had to work on those shows, like the production of them, for like a long time. It wasn't just like overnight. It'd be like a year or two before they actually had it together.
Wow.
To go and do these shows with these magic tricks and illusions and whatnot.
I bet that was exciting. Like, participating, like not participating, anticipating.
Yeah.
Like, so we'd be like, man, we've been working on this thing for a year. Like, we can't wait for the next show we could do this. So I'm sure that was fun.
Yeah, they had to learn the choreography. They had like big choreographers come in and teach them their choreography. And I was just like, man, I wish that I could go back in a time machine and see a Earth, Wind, and Fire show live like in the 70s.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was amazing. Like, I want to go back and see Earth, Wind, and Fire, and I want to see a P-Funk show. Them the two.
Dude, get out my head.
I want to see the mothership. I want to see it
thinking about the
live
mothership
in person.
I was just thinking about
in the 70s.
Dude, get out my head. I was just thinking about that.
So for any of y'all that actually got to experience that, man, y'all are blessed for real.
Hey, send some comments in and tell us how it was,
man. For real.
Heck sure.
I always be like, I was born in the wrong year. I needed to be like in my 20s and the 70s.
Yeah.
Because, yeah. But then I would have been really old now, so maybe I'm glad I was born in.
You'd be older than me.
Yeah. Yeah, so Verdine, man, he's like a fountain of youth. He's the Energizer Bunny. He just keeps going and going and going. And just to even, still be with us today and still being an amazing bass player and producer and doing all of these great things. And I just love his attitude. And I think that, a lot of that goes to Maurice and how he, trained not only him, but his other siblings and the whole band. Maurice was like really into spirituality. and being in tune with the earth and with yourself and all that good stuff. And I think you feel that in the music. You hear it in the music. And he was like,
You do.
You do.
Yeah.
And because Maurice was like, we're not leaving until it's something that is felt. Like it had to be something that he would feel to be like, this is it.
And whatever it was that he was trying to put together, whether he knew it or not, it was timeless. It's
For
timeless. Sure. Like the music is timeless. It's going to still travel on and live on. The same power that it has today that it has back then, another 20 years from now.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
Yeah, so at 73 years old, man, we are so grateful to still have Verdine here.
Yes.
And we give you your flowers and a big bass for the culture salute, man. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
And thank you for the decades of great music with Earth, Wind, and Fire and everything else that you're doing. All right, so that is Verdine White on bass. Yay. All right, so let's get into our segments real quick.
All right, so we got a couple segments. We're gonna do no synth, and then we're gonna do a new segment that comes and goes every now and then. It's called Off Note. You know what I'm saying? So it'll be a little something different that we'll work with. So what you want to go with first? You want to do Off Note, or you want to do the no synth?
Let's do Off Note.
Okay. All right. So for this episode, Off Note, we come up with, it would be bass superpowers.
Deep voice guy.
The bass superpowers. So if you were, and for all our bass players, if you could pick 3 superpowers that you would incorporate as a bass player, and 3 bass players that you would absorb all their great playing into your super playing. Did that make any sense?
Yeah, you said we gotta have 3 superpowers in the 3 bass players, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And since this was your idea, I'm going to let you go first.
You're going to let me go first.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay. All right, so for my superpowers, my first superpower...
I feel like we're going to have some of the same ones, but okay, go ahead.
My first superpower would be to play it once and never forget.
Oh, my gosh, that is so good, and never have to relearn it again.
Just once. Just play it once and I'll never forget.
Oh, wow.
Superpower.
Okay.
All right, so then my second superpower would be play what I think when I think while I'm playing.
Okay, I get that.
So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I'm playing, whatever it is.
All
our best players, we know how that works. You know, to be able to play what you think while you're playing, right there. Okay. All right, and then my third superpower would be magic tones from my fingers to hypnotize people. Yes, I want the crowd to be happy. I want the crowd to be sad. I want the crowd to give me all their money. Yeah, that's my superhero. Magic tone from my fingers to hypnotize people.
What? I'm so perplexed, but
it's superpowers.
Okay.
It's superpowers.
Okay, but okay, so who are these players that you would get these powers from?
So,
because I need to know what the third one is.
All right, so my combination of my bass playing skills come from these 3 players.
Oh, I thought you would do them individually. Like you would get your
No. I'm picking like all my powers would come from these 3 players. So one of the players would be Anthony Jackson, and one of the players would be Marcus Miller, and another player would be James Jefferson. And so like the Anthony Jackson, I would get like all the technical, the extraordinary playing that he has, and the Marcus Miller tones and the slapping, and the James Jefferson syncopation and tones.
Okay.
All that combination will create my super sound along with my superpowers.
Okay, I like it. You got some. I still want to know who is playing hypnotic bass lines that's gonna make people give you their money. Which one of them 3 does that?
I mean, we've spent our money to go see bass players, so obviously bass players have that power.
That's valid. All right then. So, I'm gonna do mine slightly different because I had a different understanding of your rules. But all right, so I'm going to do my 3 superpowers, but I'm going to say who I'm going to get that particular superpower from.
Okay, all right.
All right. So my first superpower would be, and this is a superpower because like, so it'll be like the toppest tier, the most impeccable timing.
Ooh.
And I'm going to draw that superpower from Mr. Dwayne Thomas, aka Mono Neon, because his timing is from somewhere else.
Okay.
It just is. And
just because he's an alien.
If you think about like when he plays along to just people talking, the cadence, the timing, it's phenomenal. Like
it's crazy.
I can't even. This guy is just amazing. So it's going to be from Mono Neon.
Okay. All right.
So I would love to be able to play very fast. I want to play with speed, but I also want to have accuracy with that speed. Okay. So I'm going to take that from Richard Bona. Like, give it to me, Richard. Give me all of your speed and your accuracy because he's otherworldly also.
Okay.
You know,
I got it.
So that's going to come from Richard Bona.
Okay.
All right. And then the best way I could put this was, and it kind of goes along the line where you're like, to whatever you think you'll be able to play.
Okay.
But I kind of put it this way. I want to be able to play like the most like creative, imaginative, and ridiculously stupid lines and runs that you would never think to play or place in a particular part of a song.
Okay.
And I'm going to pull that directly from Alan Evans. Okay. Because them runs that Snoop does, and you'll be like, wait a minute, why would you even think to put that there? Yeah. How did you put it there? And how did you play it in that timing and get back to the one?
Yeah. Yeah, because he an alien too.
I just...
So to sum up your part, you just want alien superpowers.
Yes, because all three of them, they come from somewhere else, okay? But we know Alan is a saved alien because he's so churchy.
That's what's up. Okay.
Shout out to his wife, Tasha. I just loved her. And I can't wait to get my popcorn from her fundraiser. So what up, though? All right. So, yeah, they're my three.
Now, I know you didn't do it, but I just wanted to throw this out there because I just thought it was kind of funny for my own description. But I just wanted to throw out there my base kryptonite, and I'm strong, and I got all these superpowers and can play everything once and never forget it. But if it has anything to do with hymns, that's my kryptonite.
Hymns are your kryptonite. I don't care how long we've been playing them. Hymns are your kryptonite, buddy. It's okay. It's all right.
All right. So then after that we got we have
no synth
bass. And since I went first on the last one, you go first on this one. Synth bass. The song choice was "Love Come Down" by Evelyn Champagne King. And who did you pick as your bassist?
This was kind of easy. As soon as you said "Love Come Down," I had my bassist right away. Yeah. And for me, it got to be Nick West because I feel like if live bass was on it and say there was an updated live version of the song, it's such a party song. It's a get the people moving song, and it has to be funky, and it has to have a whole bunch of thumping, and no one does that, well as Nick West in that lane. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So I heard her instantly, and I could just see her live and having a great time and jumping around. Like it's Nick West for me.
All right. So when I heard it, he my dude, and I always forget his name. What's the bass player that be doing the synth versus live bass?
Derek Bennett.
No.
Oh shoot.
You know what I'm talking
about. Don't
about.
tell me you trying to pick somebody you can't remember his name.
No, I didn't pick him.
Oh.
But I started to.
It's on the tip of my tongue. The dude.
Yeah,
come on.
Yeah.
Gene.
Yeah.
The dude.
The dude.
And that's your guy. Like I got on him from you.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well, I was gonna pick him, but I didn't. And so
because you can't remember his name.
But and then I had my usual, my Dyson. I didn't pick him. But he would tear this song up.
David Dyson can play everything, we know, but we got to put some other people in rotation. So, come on.
Man, and we just seen him smashing on that with Najee. So, man, it was cool, man.
Shout out to David Dyson.
Yeah, what up, Dave?
And thank you for inviting us out to the show. We had the greatest time.
Scenes, yeah,
and you were amazing, so thank you so much.
You was killing it, yeah.
Yes.
So, all right, that's always my go-to. All right, but I kind of went a different direction, and I was like, you remember when I was like, I couldn't think of his name, but I could hear him. And it's going to kind of switch the song up a little bit, but I just went with it because that's what I went with Paul Jackson Jr. from the Headhunters.
Yes.
I could hear him on that song, and I know it kind of switch it up, but
it would switch it up for sure.
It would be funky. I kind of
that was the last bass player I thought you'd say. It works.
Yeah.
You had to dig deep for that because you had to be like, I can't use my usuals. Paul Jackson Jr. I cracked myself up.
Well, that's all I got.
All right.
I don't know if we said this in an episode before or not, but Uli Sam from Germany holds the certified world record for the largest bass collection, totaling 850 basses.
Yikes. Where do you put 850 basses?
I don't know, but he could throw about 50 of them this direction and we'd be cool.
Well, no, hold on. I'm still stuck on 850 because where do you put them? You have a home big enough for 850
and I believe
bases?
he got like some custom bases.
You got to because you got to have money for 850 bases.
Yeah. I know if I had 850 bases, they going to be some Gene Wilson bases.
You going to build
I
your
ain't
own?
going to be buying 850 bases from other people. That's a lot of bases.
Oh, man.
Nah, but that's all I got.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
All right. So, anything else before we get out of here?
Nah, that's it.
All right, guys. So once again, you can find us at Bass for the Culture on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Email us at bassfortheculture@gmail. Please like, subscribe, rate, share, review.
Yes.
And
tell a friend, tell a friend to tell a friend. Email a friend. Email a friend and tell them to email a friend. Call somebody. You could like when you're driving down the street, you could just stop at the red light and see somebody stand in the corner and say, "Hey, yo, listen to Bass for the Culture." And then when the light turns green, just pull off.
You might as well. You might as well send a fax. Like, shut up. And also, if you are a bass player and you would like to be featured on Bass for the Culture, please hit us up. Come into our DMs on Instagram and say, "Hey, I want to be on the show," and we would love to have you.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. And I think there was something else that I had, but yeah, I don't remember. So maybe I'll have it for you next time.
There we go.
All right, y'all.
Oh, what was that bass player that played for at the same show?
At Blair Bryant.
Yeah, he was killing it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Like I was blown away.
Yeah. Cause we was like, yeah, you better be sweet with this red jacket on.
It was the whole hookup for me. And the thing was, like, I've never seen him play live, and I was not honestly even aware of who he was until this show. Yeah. And I was like, okay, you have a fan. And so just look like, just by appearance, I was like, okay, either this guy is gonna be really great.
Yeah.
Or we're going to be like, you're doing too much.
Yeah. He was seasoned. He was a seasoned.
He put that bass on his back. He locked in and he started playing. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was great. And he was playing for Najee.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was great. So, shout out to Blair Bryant on bass. And if you want to be on the show, hit us up.
Hit us up. What up, though?
All right. So, I guess we got enough time to go ahead and watch a little bit of these Grammys. I don't know why I watch, I don't know. They're not.
Yeah.
But I just like to see what's going on, what the people doing.
Who, MDN?
My girl Tank is there. Congratulations. Okay.
Blackstone?
I have no idea. Ain't no telling. Probably not. It ain't BET.
Okay.
But that's not to say Blackstone don't do nothing else for BET,
right.
but he the go-to. Anything live award show, they calling Blackstone. Yeah. I hope he is, but we'll check it out.
All right, well, let's check out the band. See who playing bass at the Grammys.
And that's the only reason we watch, live award shows to see who playing bass. Yeah. If we can. All right, y'all.
They mix be right.
Yeah. On the award show, the mix be right. Yeah. But you don't never see the bass player, though.
You don't never see the bass.
They always got the bass player all the way in the back, not in the light.
Yeah. What y'all doing?
They don't never show the bass player love. Good night. And I think I talked about that before because I was watching a video and it was a bass solo. In the video, the camera was on the drummer.
Man.
Why is the camera on the drummer on the bass solo? Make it make sense. I was heated. I was like, do the cameramen even know what the instruments sound like? Do they know what the sound that they're hearing, which instrument is coming from?
Probably not. Maybe they had earbuds in.
Shut up. All right,
but they do got to listen to the director.
That's very true. Well, then the producer needs to understand that, on the bass solo, we want to see the bass player.
Zoom in on the drummer during the bass solo. Yes, closer to the drummer. Yes, the bass is soloing. Yeah. Go up to the lights.
Not go
everything but look at the bass player while he's soloing.
Audience.
Yeah, cue audience. Yes. The bass player solo is over with.
Go backstage.
Pan in on the bass player solo is over.
Right. You get the last note of the solo. Like, this is so whack.
That's what happened when you be looking for these videos to post. You can't find nothing.
Nothing. Like, they don't show the bass player no love. It's always the drummer, the lead singer, or the keys, and the guitar player. The percussionist give more love. Not the drummer, the percussionist give more love than the bass player. Sheesh. Do better, cameramen, people of the world. All right, we done closed like a black preacher. We about to get on up out of here, y'all.
All right,
and until next time, peace.